Good evening, everybody. It's me, Alex, and Dispatch Training Center. Today is November 18th, 2024. And of course, we are staying on top of all the regulations in trucking industry. So what is so important happening today? Well, we will be back in a second, and we're going to discuss what does it mean that Clearinghouse-II? What is changing? Why so many people freaking out? And if the information is actually correct or not. I will be right back in a second, and we're gonna learn. So, what's happening today? Well, everybody already knows about clearinghouse, but today, as and as of November 18th, 2024, we are actually having the final rule that we are calling Clearinghouse-II. So what's actually gonna be changing? Everybody gives us the different numbers. Some data shows that it will affect approximately 234,000 CDL drivers and that their licenses will be revoked due to this new federal law. So what is the difference between Clearinghouse-II and Clearinghouse-I? As some of you who've been in business already for a few years, you know that we had Clearinghouse introducing us to the mandatory check on our drivers, on their prohibited or not prohibited status due to drug and alcohol testing. So how is this will affect drivers right now? So a lot of companies are wondering, is the market gonna change? Are we gonna see now the prices for loads going up? Are we actually gonna be seeing companies going out of business because of that? Well, let's not to be that dramatic. I don't think it's gonna affect market. We're not gonna see $5 per mile rates tomorrow. We're not even gonna see probably 10 cents increase over the next few weeks. But let's go back to the rules and regulations. So before you guys understood that driver who had any problems with drug or alcohol testing, he was simply having prohibited status. In that case, he had to go through something which we call return to duty. He was supposed to go to SAP, substance abuse professional. He was supposed to take some classes, did some extra drug test and substance abuse professional. After a while, if the driver completed all the steps, was changing his status to not prohibited. And we as a trucking company, before we hire the driver, we mandatory have to check on their status. So if I have 5 drivers applying for my company, before I even send them to the drug test, I had to log into the clearinghouse, put their CDL, and look, is it prohibited driver or not prohibited? Well, if it was prohibited driver, legally, I cannot even send him to the drug test. I cannot hire him until he goes and fixes his problems. Let's put it that way. Well, I had the drivers who were not prohibited. I would send them to the drug test. And of course, if it's a negative, we continue with the hiring process. So what is it going to be different with this new rule, Clearinghouse-II? And how is this going to affect CDL status? Well, as I said before, we only had the status prohibited or not prohibited. But now, automatically, your CDL will be downgraded. So that means that until you go and fix this problem, you don't have a CDL. You don't have also commercial learning permit, right? So this is going to affect a lot of people. When we are looking at those numbers, some people give us 177,000. Today, some people, for example, Foley was giving us 230,000 drivers. Well, let's be realistic. From that number, half of those drivers have not been driving already. They were still holding the CDL status. So now it's automatically going to be downgraded. So probably, realistically, and again, I don't have 100% data, but I would say probably we're going to see from 35 to 45,000 drivers affected that are still driving. Well, is that a big number? Well, with a shortage of the drivers, it is kind of a big number, because if we go back to statistics, and again, they're not 100% correct. Statistics are getting from Bureau of Labor, from employers, from all other sources. So approximately the shortage of the drivers in the USA right now estimated to be from 80 to 92,000 drivers. We already don't have enough drivers. And now we're going to add another 30, 40,000. Well, in the end of the day, if the driver cannot pass this test, drug or alcohol, and have a negative result, well, I don't want this driver anyway, because I'm not jeopardizing safety of my company. I don't want to be dealing with lawsuits, and I don't want this driver to kill somebody else. So for me, well, I look at this as a positive change. I also think that a lot of drivers finally will realize that, you know what, maybe it's time for me to switch profession, or maybe I have to stop drinking or actually taking drugs while I am on duty and while I am making the money in trucking. Unfortunately, I still see trucking companies that go and check in the clearinghouse. They see that the driver is not prohibited, and they give them brand new truck, 2023, 2024. They send them to the drug test, and they're so naive they don't even wait for the drug test results. And then next day, their truck is already loaded and on the way somewhere to North Carolina, to Utah, to California. And finally, they look at the test and they see, oh my God, this is positive. We still have a lot of companies who are still not following the rules when they are hiring the drivers. So maybe now it will be a little awakening for some of those companies, and the drivers that not supposed to be on the road finally will not be able to be on the road. Because when your CDL automatically downgraded, now if I run MVR, well, I see, yes, you had CDL, but now it's not CDL. So that means that I'm not hiring you, other company is not hiring you. And this is the main news. Will this affect market? Will we see the spot market changing tomorrow, day after? I don't think so. But this is a good change. And I think that in the long run, we will get rid of the bad apples. So one more time, the big difference is that your CDL will be downgraded, and you will need to go through the process of return to duty. For most of you, if you want to learn about this, please go to official Clearinghouse website. Today, before we finish, we're gonna watch together actually the video from YouTube, from FMCSA YouTube channel. I strongly advise you to go and subscribe, because that's where you're gonna see what's actually happening. And you can stay on top of your safety. You're gonna be aware what is new, and hopefully you will understand that some drivers finally need to be terminated. And unfortunately, even in this market, I know it's hard to find qualified driver, but believe it or not, from my personal experience, from the data, it's better for your truck to stay on a parking lot, and it's better for you to still pay that payment and insurance than to try to put underqualified driver. And one of the reasons, because it will cost you triple the money. You might be lucky for 1 month. You might be lucky for 2 months. You might be lucky for 6 months. But when accidents happen, when that driver is gonna hold the truck hostage, when finally he's gonna damage that trailer, believe me, you're gonna pay triple. It's not double. Usually it's triple. So educate yourself. Make sure your safety departments send the new rules and maybe share some printouts. But we're here to help you. So let's together go to website right now. So I'm trying to share. So let's see which mode we're gonna use. Probably this one. And again, we are watching this video. It's gonna take us only 4 minutes from official FMCSA YouTube. Find them, put like, comment. Do you agree? Do you disagree? But make sure you understand what's going on. So let's watch it.
Are you prohibited from operating a commercial motor vehicle, often known as a CMV, due to a drug and alcohol program violation? Do you desire to get back behind the wheel? If so, help is available to get you the education or treatment you need to resume driving safely. Drivers who engage in conduct prohibited by FMCSA's drug and alcohol use and testing regulations must be immediately removed from safety-sensitive functions, including operating CMVs for any employer regulated by the U.S. Department of Transportation. Violations of FMCSA's drug and alcohol regulations are reported to FMCSA's Commercial Driver's License Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse. Beginning November 18, 2024, as part of new federal regulations, drivers with a prohibited status in the Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse will lose their commercial driving privileges, or those drivers will be denied if they apply for a CDL. Some states have already begun implementing this regulation. CDL drivers may change their prohibited clearinghouse status by completing the return to duty process, which was established in Part 40 of Title 49 of the Code of Federal Regulations. This is a U.S. DOT process that is not specific to FMCSA. Here's how to complete the return to duty process and get back to being not prohibited. First, select a substance abuse professional or SAP. Your employer is required to provide you with a list of DOT-qualified substance abuse professionals. You will select your SAP based on your own research. After selecting your SAP, log into your clearinghouse account and designate your SAP. This allows the SAP to enter information about your return to duty process in the clearinghouse. If you don't already have a clearinghouse account, you'll need to create one. Your designated SAP will evaluate you and provide recommendations for the education or treatment you will complete. Once your SAP has determined you have successfully completed your education or treatment plan and entered this information in the clearinghouse, you are eligible for the next step, taking the return to duty alcohol or drug test. Note that you, as an individual, may not request this test. This test must be set up by an employer or your designated consortium third-party administrator, known as a CTPA. If your return to duty test is negative, your employer or your designated CTPA will record the negative result in the clearinghouse. Recording the negative test result will update your clearinghouse status to not prohibited. This means your clearinghouse status will no longer prevent you from operating CMVs. After receiving the return to duty negative test result, your employer must complete the follow-up testing plan with you as specified by your SAP. This follow-up plan must include a minimum of 6 unannounced follow-up tests in the first 12 months of returning to performing safety-sensitive functions. If needed, this can also be completed by your designated CTPA. Note that your violation will remain open in the clearinghouse until your follow-up testing is successfully completed. Your clearinghouse record will retain information about your violation and return to duty process for 5 years from the date of your violation, or until the follow-up testing plan is complete, whichever is later. Returning to duty is about so much more than your ability to make a living. It's about keeping our nation's roadways safe for everyone. For more information, download the driver guide on completing the return to duty process, available in the Clearinghouse Learning Center. To start your return to duty process, log into your Clearinghouse account. To log in or start your Clearinghouse registration, visit the Clearinghouse website.
Well, guys, we watched it together. So one more time, always go to official resources. And one of them with lots and lots of printouts, with a lot of PDFs, with information that you can share with your drivers, your future drivers, where you can educate your safety professionals are always available for free. So if you go to Clearinghouse, they have downloadable resources. Look, you can go visit the learning center and you have resources for driver. You have resources for employer, for the owner operator, for SAP resources, for MRO resources. But this is nothing to do with you. This is a substance abuse professional. This is your third party, let's say, drug and alcohol program. But if you are a driver, you can go and find resources for yourselves. You can actually, if you are new to this, you can see how to register. What else do you need to do? What do you have to be aware of? So there's no way we cannot be educated. There is no way when I go to some companies and see that they are struggling with the safety, or they call me and they ask me to represent them for the audits, and they're like, well, we don't know this information, we did not train our drivers. Well, it only tells me one thing, that they are not actually educating themselves, because everything is here, guys. You have beautiful brochures right here. You can share them. It's so much resources here that, look, even how to register, how to register for the portal if you are newer to the clearinghouse, and they have in a different languages as well. You can also help newer drivers, right? If you are driving schools, well, why don't you share this information? This is really good created PDFs. They did a great job. So there is no excuse not to know how to run your safety and compliance. And of course, there is a lots and lots of trainings. And we are seeing a lot of new people are coming to us and they want to improve not only their dispatch, but they're also finally realizing that they need to improve their safety. So if you did not really know that we also have safety and IFTA trainings, please make sure you check our upcoming schedules. We already posted our schedule for IFTA, for our actually December dispatch class. For January dispatch class, also we have combo IFTA trucking and safety manager training. We do have bundle for people who are serious, that you can take dispatch training, IFTA training, safety and compliance. And guys, you're gonna save $550. My classes are not pre-recorded, they are live, they are interactive. They are for people who want to learn. There's a lot of quizzes, lots of homework, lots of knowledge that I share with you. And we are learning every day. So updated information, updated forms. So if you like the way we teach, make sure you sign up. You can choose other training centers. You can choose other webinars, as long as you guys are understanding what's going on. Here's another announcement. And this time, actually, I never do webinars in Russian language, but we have lots and lots of new people who are struggling with correct information. So on December 8th, I will be doing the webinar on how to open trucking company, and it will be in Russian language. Если вы хотите узнать, как открыть компанию грузоперевозок в Америке, запишитесь на этот вебинар. Why I am trying to do this? Because I want to prevent people from jumping into this industry without knowledge. I see it in my dispatch classes. I see it in all the phone calls that I'm receiving every day. Please try to learn first. Understand, can you actually afford to come to trucking? Do you know what it takes? Do you know the rules and regulations? Do not call after trying to solve all of the problems that you created. Trucking is very, very expensive industry, especially in this market. Unfortunately, even the big mega carriers are facing big downsizing. Some of them already filing the bankruptcy. Some of them are trying to scam this in any way they can, so they can still at least pay their insurance on file and maybe half of their payments for the trucks, while the market have not been in a favor for the trucking industry. But that doesn't mean that the new people cannot come into this industry. We have a lot of new people coming, let's say, from Ukraine. I am personally Ukrainian. So do not listen that trucking is not for you right now. Trucking always going to be there. But to come into this industry, you need the knowledge. So that webinar, it's gonna be only $199. And for 3-4 hours, we're gonna go through the steps. I'm gonna tell you how to do it, what to do it and not do it from my own experience, and whatever I can advise you. I am not 100% expert if that's going to be good for you or not, but I can share honest and truthful information. And hopefully, after that webinar, you can sit down and write down the business plan, write down the steps you need to take, and figure out, are you ready to go and apply for that MC? Are you ready to pass that new entered audit after you apply for that MC? Are you sure that you have dispatchers who will be dispatching you? Do you understand the reality of trucking right now? That most of the brokers are not even going to give you loads. Are you ready for that? Who is going to be hiring your drivers? Do you know how to run safety program? Do you know how to keep driver qualification files? So all of those steps we're going to be discussing in that webinar. One more time, December 8th. It will be in Russian language. So hopefully I'll see you there. I will put the link under this video. I'm also gonna do video in Russian on my second YouTube channel, Dispatcherski Center, and hopefully I can help you out. Today, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Always share, always comment, and ask the questions. For my students right now in November class, I'm so proud of you. Actually, you are amazing, all of you. I know it's not easy for some of you. I know you may be struggling with extra information that I am throwing on you, but believe me, one day you're gonna say, well, thank you, Alex, because you gave me the reality, you prepared me for the trucking industry, and extra information never ever hurted anyone. So always stay compliant. Make sure you maybe subscribe for official channels. FMCSA. You can subscribe, for example, for channels in some states. For example, Kentucky, Connecticut, New Mexico, Oregon. They had educational videos and they do update them. So trucking is not hard. if you know what you are doing. Trucking is possible if you prepared to have challenges. If you don't think that it's just gonna be some kind of miracle and in 2 months you're gonna be having a bunch of dollars in your office and you're gonna be driving Bentley, maybe one day, but it's not gonna happen within 1 month. It's not gonna be happening within 1 year. You can go up and down really fast. The smart businessman will learn and will prepare themselves and their company to stay steady. Up and down a little bit, but not drastic success. And then you're going out of the business because simply you cannot even pay your insurance. Also, be aware there's a lot of mega carriers, especially in Chicagoland. If you guys are not watching their MCs, if you guys do not go to Safer and check on the status of actually their MC, if it's still active, you might be part of the scam. Some of them leasing trucks for you. Some of them still leasing trailers for you. You still pay your monthly payments. You still do what you're supposed to do, but they already stopped paying those payments. Their MC is already not active because they don't even have money for primary liability. And that's why I've been receiving so many phone calls. And unfortunately, even students who I know personally, and they are dealing with very, very sad situation. Their trucks are getting repossessed somewhere in the middle of the country. And when they call the owners simply give them stories or ignore them. So be aware. If you're right now working in Chicagoland for big mega carriers, double check. Don't be a part of the scam. And if you are actually getting scammed, go and make complaints. Go get attorneys and go after those mega carriers. Hopefully, trucking is going to change in 2025 for the better. Hopefully, all of us going to do our job a little bit better. So we're going to get rid of desperate dispatchers, desperate safety managers, and desperate owners of the trucking companies. And it's me here, Alex, who is always direct, honest. And my mission is to change trucking for the better through education. I'll see you soon and have a good weekend.